Welcome to this lesson on evaluating learning design. Although we've already been using various learning design processes, an important stage we've yet to discuss is evaluation. As learning designers, evaluating our products and curriculum is necessary to ensure that we can improve them over time to better meet the objectives of the organizations we work for. The purpose of this short lesson is to review various ways to evaluate so we can improve the products and curriculum we design over time. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to describe the various methods of evaluating our design after its implementation, and reflect on the types of questions we need to ask to self-evaluate during our design process. You should hopefully recall the EDCI process, which we discussed in detail near the beginning of the course when investigating common stages in the instructional design process. In this particular process, evaluation is usually the final stage where you look back at the learning products you implemented to gauge their effectiveness. Other EDCI models place evaluation at the center of the entire process to highlight its significance within each stage. This session will look at evaluation through both of these perspectives. First, we'll look at how we can evaluate our products after they are implemented. And second, we'll look at how we might evaluate our own design process when focusing on each successive stage. There are several different ways we can evaluate our learning products, each of which has a slightly different purpose. We'll focus on 4 in this session: participant reactions to our products, participant learning from our products, participant behavioral change, and organizational impact. The most basic form of evaluation is gathering thoughts and feelings from participants after they complete the program. As you've likely experienced in course evaluation surveys in university, these are often surveys that ask questions about the teacher, the content, the delivery methods, time commitments, and so on. If you plan on reusing the learning product or trainer and want to improve the design or instruction, this is the most common form of program evaluation, as it is the easiest to implement. It does not, however, measure anything except thoughts and feelings towards the curriculum, so more thorough evaluation methods may be required. The surveys can be open questions that allow learners to provide qualitative statements or Likert scales or ratings to provide more quantitative results that can be averaged. The second level of evaluation goes a bit deeper than measuring immediate reactions to the training event. This level measures the learning that took place during the training, so if we effectively include post-assessment elements in our lesson design, we are already evaluating learning. As designers, we can use the results from our tests and assignments to see if our participants are successfully learning the skills, concepts, or values outlined in our learning objectives. If our assessment instruments are accurate, we can use test and assignment results to evaluate how effective our training program is. For example, if tests indicate that many participants aren't learning what we intend, we need to determine why and then change the content or delivery methods based on our analysis. Although evaluation of learning uses data from post-assessment elements in our lesson, our analysis may find that our post-assessment strategies need to be improved. If, for example, our tests aren't reliably or fairly gathering the right information related to our goals and outcomes, we need to redesign our assessments before we can evaluate the learning that took place. The third level of evaluation relates to the change in participant behavior caused by the training event. Although participants may learn from our training, they may not be applying their learning to their professional or personal lives. So this level of evaluation seeks to measure their authentic application of the skills, concepts, and values they learn. You need to gather this information sometime after the training event to allow participants time to apply their learning. You may choose to observe or interview your participants and their supervisors, or use a written instrument like a survey. Your interview and survey questions should focus on how your participants are better able to perform in their duties and lives due to applying their learning. You may find that participants are not using their training, which is an indication that the training was not relevant to their needs, that they forgot the training over time, or that the training did not connect curriculum well enough to their lives or workplaces. Ideally, you should find that participants are meaningfully applying their learning in ways that demonstrate evidence of growth. If they aren't demonstrating growth, you'll need to reevaluate how you can make the training more relevant, authentic, and meaningful. Where the third level focuses on behavioral change at the individual level, the fourth and deepest level evaluates the impact of training on the organization. This type of evaluation seeks to measure if the training is helping the organization meet its objectives. This may mean increases in customer or employee satisfaction, regulatory compliance, health and safety, and so on. Another key component of this level of evaluation is trying to measure the efficiency or productivity gains to quantify return on investment. For example, you'll likely want to evaluate if the training is saving more money than it costs to design and implement, especially if you're designing learning products in the private sector. Measuring organizational impact means that you need to have access to long-term data related to organizational goals and performance. You can compare data from before and after the implementation of training, and if you find changes in organizational performance, you can gather more data from participants to demonstrate that your training was the cause of these changes. These 4 levels of evaluation have their own places and purposes after you've implemented a learning product or program. But as you hopefully now realize, the levels increase in depth and complexity. If your training program is short-term, you may only need to measure trainee reactions and learning so you can make small changes if necessary. If, however, your program is longer-term and more expensive, you may want to complete deeper evaluation to ensure it is the most effective and cost-efficient it can be. The alternative ADDIE model stresses that learning designers should be evaluating their work throughout each stage of the design process and not just after the training is implemented. We'll now briefly look at the types of questions you need to ask when evaluating yourself or others during each of these stages. If you recall, before designing our product, we need to complete an in-depth analysis of our audience and the organization to determine the skills, concepts, and values we should be teaching. During this stage of analysis, we should be asking several key questions to ensure we've gathered all the appropriate information we need to guide our design. First, we want to ask, have I identified the right skills, concepts, and values to be taught? For example, we need to make sure the skills, concepts, and values we select to teach are in line with the organization's goals, the jobs and tasks we are supposed to train, as well as the participants' needs. Second, we want to ask, do I know enough about my participants? For example, we need to know where they live, what their time preferences and schedules are like, what delivery methods best suit them, how they will learn, and what motivates them. After our analysis, we need to ask similar questions to ensure we're designing the most effective and appropriate product or program we can. We therefore need to ask, is the curriculum I designed the strongest it can be pedagogically? For example, based on our outcomes we identified after our analysis, we need to make sure we've selected the most appropriate content, activities, and assessments. Similarly, we need to make sure our choices are based on the best information available to us related to instructional design and educational theory. We should therefore ask, can I justify my design choices based on established theories? For example, we need to make sure our chosen curriculum, delivery methods, modalities, and media are defensible given what we know about learning theories like behaviorism, cognitivism, constructivism, and so on. Lastly, during development and implementation, we need to self-evaluate our choices about project management and testing. We should ask, are my development schedules, personnel, and resources well chosen and effectively managed? For example, we need to be sure our funding is being spent the most efficiently, our staff and space is being resourced the most effectively, and that we have the best tools available for the job. After development and before full implementation, we need to ask, has the product been tested enough by the right people prior to implementation? For example, we need to make sure that the trainers, subject matter experts, managers, and participants have all had an opportunity to try the training product and provide their feedback. If you remember the list of pedagogical principles discussed earlier in the course, you may recall the term praxis, which refers to cycling between action and reflection. As careful and thoughtful designers, we can engage in praxis by creating regular opportunities to question ourselves and reflect on our actions while designing curriculum. In this way, self-evaluation is embedded in our design process, helping to ensure that we make the best choices we can with the information available to us. Now that you've reflected on the importance of evaluation in learning design, your task is to reflect on the questions given in the course site for this topic. You should be able to answer these questions well to be prepared for the final quiz. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, please feel free to email me.